So what do you get when you get a beautiful new construction community 5 minutes away from my house with a builder that you guys love? You get Aaron's ass out of the house to record some footage for you. So today, I actually heard about this place because I sold a Beazer home in Austin Point, and that sales counselor, shout out to Tracy, was like, there's no way you live in Meridiana and you haven't heard about Ellwood. And I was like, what the hell is Ellwood? Come to find out, there's a beautiful community being developed by Beazer in my neck of the woods in Iowa Colony, where you got a 40, a 45 foot, oh, I'm sorry, a 40 foot, a 50 foot, and a 55 foot product line with some of the best pricing and some of the most beautiful homes that you could get on this side of the world from a builder that you guys know and trust, from a builder that does the spray foam insulation so it's super efficient, that gives you so much variety. And it's not going to be one of these just throwaway communities. It's right off of 288, so you're going to have that access to that HEB that's 10 minutes away. You're going to have one of the quickest routes into the medical center. You got so many pros at an affordable price, and I always love to bring my clients like you an option and an alternative to the things that are maybe a little bit more out of reach. So for those of y'all that are looking at that Meridiana area and saying, man, I feel like I'm getting priced out, let's come on a couple minutes away and find you a beautiful home in a neighborhood like this. And we're going to be going over taxes, all the things, schools, everything that you care about. We're going to talk about it in this video. If that sounds good, stay tuned. All right, so first things first, let's check out the 55-foot wing. Got 2 stories and 1 story options. So you'll have variety depending on your vibe, depending on your feel. You will have options out here. This is the Lynwood plan, and I don't think I've ever seen it before, so let's go and check it out. Oh, that's moody. Beautiful. Loving the wide corridor. Off the front door, you're going to have your office. Really great size. Off of my initial just view of what I could see of the house, we'll get the stats for you, but this is probably under 2,800 square feet if I had to guess. But we'll confirm that. We'll see if we're right. But I just love how this corridor, this feels just so grand with just how this looks. This is just, oof, beautiful. That'll be your garage. They're probably using that as construction office or storage right now. Hey, okay. All right, so this is interesting because I have clients that really love the builder Chesmar because they have a couple plans that do this little flex seating area, game room area between the wings. And for their older kids, they kind of make this into their own little, I want to say like garage apartment. It's not really that because you don't have the cooking and refrigerator and stuff in here, but you do have almost like a casita where you can separate this from the other side of the house. So I think that this is beautiful with how they got it set up. But let's go and check it out. We've got the dual vanity in here, full bath. And with the size of this probably means that not everybody is getting their own bath. So this is gonna serve as this flex areas bathroom as well as for these bedrooms. Which is what I would expect for a house that I'm still guessing is probably, unless they got a hidden tuck, it's probably about 2,600 square feet. And so on a 1 story, they have already carved out this little flex space for you. So I would not expect a movie room in here just based off of, again, just my initial gut reaction. They would probably have this stage to where you're making this like your movie room. game room area. That would be the expectation with the square footage that you probably have in here. But yeah, still good size, really good size closets. And I'm a fan of a nice size one story. I know now that the Lathan family, just with how we operate, and now that we've added that media room in the attic, I know for a fact that we need a game room, media room area, so this wouldn't quite work for us anymore. So we would probably need one that has one more space, one more design space, but so far we are now walking into the third bedroom. This one does have an ensuite, so this would be your favorite kid. This would be your favorite kid's room. So they wouldn't have to share. Pretty cool little closet. A little bit of room. They got this set up like an in-law suite with the shower instead of a tub. So current setup, it looks like that other wing would be for the kids, and this one would be for an in-law, because whenever you have the step down shower, that's usually an indication of how they thought that room would be used. And then you go to your laundry room. Not super huge, but I love that they gave you fold prep space. You could probably get a sink in here if you wanted to pay for that upgrade. From my current build with Beazer, I do know that this door being cut out is an upgrade. It's like $700 or $800 to frame out to give you access from your closet, but y'all know the vibes. We gonna see that closet from the other side. We ain't going through it because we need the minutes. And I do, if I remember correctly, I do believe that the cabinets were standard. I don't think that this countertop was standard though. So I think they added this. This is gonna be the normal space for where your washer and dryer are. It looks like this is the same for my client as well. That's building her McKinney plan. I do think her AV security data stuff is in this utility closet as well. And this was an ad. Another little detail that I've noticed on the Beazers that I've been selling as of late is when you pay for the hardware package, a lot of the builders, even high-end builders, their painters will come in and it's just easier to kind of not prep and cover these hinges, this hardware that you paid for. You wanted that look and you paid for it. And even on some of the more high-end builders, you'll oftentimes see where they do the little door catch. You'll see that that's black and you'll see that the hardware is black, but this is painted over. So another just attention to detail kind of thing that I've seen with Beazer on the 4 or 5 that I've had with them this year was that when my clients paid for or upgraded to a different kind of hardware package, they honored that. They didn't let those guys just go in there and just paint over it. And that's usually a good sign that you're dealing with a detail-oriented builder, which in these times is important. You're spending a lot of money, spending the most money that you ever would have on a house in the Houston metro. You want to make sure that somebody's doing that thing right and paying attention to the details. Okay, so we got a half bath right there, more storage. That's another thing that I've noticed with my client's house in Austin Point is the model that she's building. We're probably not going to show it. They have the same McKinney plan here. We're probably not going to show it just because we have that one on the channel for Austin Point. But the little knickknacks and storage places that they carved out in the house, that's not super huge, but it's a really great size for what it is. It's really thoughtfully designed. And so you can't really go into it looking at the numbers. That's probably the biggest takeaway over these last 5 years is you'll look at the square footage of something and be like, oh, that's probably too small, and then you go into it and it just does something magnificent like this, and you just like, there's no way you got this beautiful space in this space that is not super huge. This gives 60, 65 foot width vibes in here. Room for an oversized table over there, open concept. Now, some of this is, don't be catfished by this. This is judged, okay? Judged and upgrades. If you can see it and you can touch it in a model home, is upgraded, okay? Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by these people. But this gives grandeur, in my opinion, than a 50 to 55 footer. It just feels way wider. Got the waterfall, gorgeous. Look at the prep space in here. I mean, it just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, wraps around, and then you have a nice size little pantry. And it's a walk-in. I'm pitter-patter in here. That's 7 steps. Good size. Other things that would be upgraded, like the puck lighting, the glass cabinetry inserts up there, double oven, I believe. Once you get above 50, the double oven for them is usually a standard. I'll verify that with my guy, Kyle. But yeah, this is gorgeous. So if I come now, the vibe view, this is look how gorgeous that is. Oof. They didn't put a slider on this one. Really nice outside. I love how we have the vaulted roof. And then we have the 2 sections over here, right? So you can have your dinner over here, you're lounging over there. This is about what you're gonna expect on a standard-ish kind of lot. With a big 1-story, it's gonna eat up a lot of that yard. Now, what I don't know, because I don't see permanent power boxes over here quite yet, is normally you would see like a green box for like AT&T, or you might see power boxes back here. I don't see that. So I will verify if you have any back easements over here, or if they blessed y'all with front easements in this neighborhood, because if you don't have a back easement, then that means you could run a pool damn near up to the fence if you wanted to, and you would still be able to squeeze one in. Otherwise, you would kind of be limited to what you could do. You would have to do one of those cute little rectangle Toll Brother pools where it's just you and maybe a friend in there at the same time. Gorgeous. Man, that's just beautiful. I'm loving this detail. Oh my goodness. Following the same theme, tons of natural light. Really good size. So enough room for a little couch in here. King size bed. Gorgeous. Split vanity. Enough room to have a prep space in here. That's what I mean. So this feels wider. So typically you would see a prep space area, a get ready station as they like to call it. In the 60, 65 foot sections, you would typically see this sort of an option be an option once you get a little bit wider than that 50 foot zone. And they have squeezed it in. Now they didn't put the tub here, but with how much space we got, I'm pretty sure that this could be pushed in and you could have your own little soaker tub right here. Your standalone tub, and you can have still a nice size shower. This shower is gigantic. But they took away the peekaboo, man. They're not looking at you and you looking at them, man. They took that away. Let me see. We have a second, oh, it's a toilet. Toilet's over here. Do we have two closets or this linen? Okay, so they didn't do the Perry play. They gave you a linen, but this is a really good size closet for a house that is around this size. I would agree with that. Really good. And then we come on over to the laundry area that we teased before, and you got a little pass through. That would be clutch. That's one of the things that I miss from our inventory home that we bought from Highland is that we didn't have a pass through to the laundry, and we do laundry a lot. Shout out to the missus, man. So yeah, let me park this camera real quick with some decent lighting, and then we'll look up the stats to see if I was right or wrong on the size of this home. And let's see what we got. So this is the Lynwood plan. I was a little wrong. I'll admit I was a little wrong. So this is right at 3,000 square feet. Let me see if I can see where they're giving it to me though, right? So at 3,000 square feet, I should be able to get a movie room in here. So for that to not be occurring, where did they get that space from? Because we got a nice size bedroom, but it's not super crazy. We have the 2 beds over there with that little flex space. We have an office. So we got 4 beds and an office and a flex space. I guess, I wonder if this would be an option to maybe close this off. That has to be what they would do. They would close this off and give you maybe doors from this side, which is something that they did for my client on her McKinney plan when she added she added a study instead of a bedroom and then moved the location of the doors. So maybe that's what they would be doing to give you normally a movie room in the middle. You would probably have a door here to this other bedroom instead. But yeah, 3,000. So that's a sneaky 3,000. And now it makes sense why, as I'm walking through here, I'm just like, this feels bigger, this feels wider than what I would expect from a 55-footer. That's because it's low-key a big-ass house. This is about what I would want space-wise for a 1-story. I think when you kind of get under 3,000 square feet, it kind of starts to feel a little bit cramped, depending on how the layout is, of course. But good examples of that would be like the 216 plan, the 213 plan from Highland. Like that has a good flow, but it's around that 3,000-ish kind of square feet, and where you can still get your movie room, your 4 bedrooms, a flex space, that kind. You can still get all the spaces. Okay. Pricing wise, let's talk about where you would be on something like this. You would be around $540 for 3,000 square feet. Now, if we were to compare this to Meridiana, and we compared it to like a little bit wider home, but about the same size square footage, like a 216, 213, somewhere around that, you're gonna pay on average in the 6s for a similar size floor plan to be in Meridiana, okay? So again, if you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles of a community, which not everybody needs that. Not everybody wants the 6 pools and 3 gyms and, you know, stores on site. Not everybody wants that. Some people are just like, give me a beautiful home at a price that I'm comfortable with and I'll drive to my own entertainment. Some people are like that. And this, I think, is going to be a community that does that and still gives you affordability that you don't quite get for the same square footage in Meridiana, because you're paying for all of the bells and whistles. Right now, there's pros and cons to that. As we move throughout this neighborhood today, we'll talk about the pros and the cons of that. But yeah, this is a great start. So we got 540 for about 3,000 square feet. That's not bad. If you were to do that in Sienna, you're probably high sixes to get something like that from a nice builder. In Meridiana, you're definitely creeping into the sixes. You might catch an inventory deal from like a Perry or a Highland or somebody that gets you something in the fives, but on average, you're gonna be in the six for 3,000 square feet. I know for Highland, to get to like 2,800 square feet, you're in the fives already. So it's just like using that as my baseline for this side of town. This is a great deal and a great value for what you can get over here, but we got more to see. And as we come out of that house, some of the cons, and we've touched on this before when we did the Creek Haven video, when comparing it to somewhere like a Meridiana, is that we have the data of what a big master plan community does in this neck of the woods. Meridiana has been here since like 2016. I think it broke ground in 2015, and I think the first homes were sold in like 2016, 2017. So it's been going for a little bit. And so we've seen those numbers climb, as they almost always do in a luxury community that has entry level all the way on up to mansions. That is a formula for success, and that's why the Houston Metro has so many of them. So when you have your places like your Bridgelands, your Ellisons, they become these buzzwordy things because they become a beacon of somewhere that you can start and grow into in the neighborhood, right? You can aspire to get into that mansion section. So it always has that mystique, right? When you go to a smaller community like this, you don't have as much of that mystique. And so you sort of start to give up on, you'll be capped by the values of what Meridiana does. And what do I mean by that? If you were to get this home that is about 3,500 square feet, it would almost never be at a higher price point as the same thing in Meridiana, because Meridiana is setting the tone for what values are in Manville and in Iowa Colony, okay? And so that comes at the benefit of when you're buying, that you'll always get something that is of a lower price point comparatively to my neighborhood of Meridiana. But when it comes to sale, you will see that you appreciate and value probably a little bit slower, because you don't have that buzzwordy sort of name mystique. Now, as I look around and being familiar with this area like I am, there's tons of just like farmland, and there's a lot of just like old houses on tons of acreage around here. And from the things that I've seen online, at least, this is currently slated to be around 1,000 acres, just from what I've seen online. But I've seen conflicting things, and that might be because they are probably in negotiations with, if I would imagine, some of these landholders surrounding this neighborhood right now to try to make this be a little bit bigger. So they're already clearing this way, but there's a ton of land just surrounding us to the north and to the west of this neighborhood right now that they're probably going to try to eat up and make bigger. Now, do they have 3,000 acres to really be a comparison to Meridiana? No, but they could compete with the one down the street, like a Creek Haven. And so we'll see whether or not this becomes the beacon of that secondary kind of market to like a Sierra Vista or a Creek Haven. We'll see if this one steps out there to become the next power player for the 288 corridor. Only time will tell. But what you see traditionally is that because there's a big booming community nearby, values are just kind of truncated a little bit based off of what that neighborhood is doing, okay? But that's not all bad, because at the end of the day, you would get something like this that's like 3,500 square feet for right around 600,000, probably even less, where if you did that in if you did that in Meridiana, you're gonna pay more. You close to the sevens, right? So you saving bread, but at what cost? The amenities, the mystique of the neighborhood, only you can tell me whether or not that matters to you, okay? But now let's hop on into this Vanderbilt plan, which is the 2-story model home that they have over here in Ellwood. Beautiful. Hold up, they got the double door, okay? That's defying my little logic. Maybe it's just this elevation. I'll ask my guy Kyle to verify. Oh, we got a little peekaboo up there. This would be your garage. Half bath, going into nice size office. Got a guest room. Ooh, in-law suite. Okay. So this one has its own bath, step down shower. Closet's a little bit bigger. Okay. Like it. Room not the hugest, but this in-law suite, so this is your visitor. It's that mom or dad visiting. Somebody's gonna be in and out. They got their own self-contained little area. Got your mudroom area, so this would be coming off of your garage. Got the little Harry Potter closet. Always a fan. Good storage. And this would be your garage door entry. Looks like we do have a nice little peekaboo of that. Bathroom looks beautiful back there. Nice size laundry again. Do have the cabinetry, prep space. Probably could have water in here if you wanted it. Looks like a nice little space for a little deep freezer. Good deal. Is it gonna give me the vibes? It's giving me the vibes. Come on. Come on in here and give me them vibes now. All right, now let me vent real quick. Every time, make this about me for a little bit. Every time I go into a 50 to 55 foot home and it's just laid out really well, I kind of get mad. I get mad, and y'all know who I'm getting mad at. Highland did me dirty with that. I'm just playing. Love Highland, but this is very well thought out. It's open concept. You don't have the room for a dining room space. You don't have room for a formal dining in here without taking something major away, like a bedroom, which would be more important. So to have it tucked off in the back corner, they're giving you slider vibes, also giving you a much bigger home feel because you got the indoor-outdoor vibes. Looks like you got, again, all this prep space. Look at all this counter space. And they just out here stunting on us back here, just bringing it all the way up. But look at how much counter prep. Just general, I'll be up in here, pots everywhere, rules everywhere. Got the stacked cabinets. They didn't do the puck on the top, puck lighting in the decent little pantry. Nothing too crazy, but not too bad. But just like for someone that wants to cook and entertain, this is every bit as big of an island, damn near as a 222 plan, right? Or a 224 plan for a Highland. Every bit as big. Similar sort of vibe. And you're gonna probably save about $100,000 to come over here. Man. So we do have that slider. Good space, showing you that you could have your outdoor kitchen out here, should you want it. Water, power included. With another little secondary porch. I would imagine that Iowa Colony High would be your high school. I'll pull up that stat. Actually, I'll confirm that with Kyle when I bump into him in the next model. And then right there is 288. So literally 2 minutes to get to 288, 3 minutes to get to the gates of Meridiana. You're 10 minutes from the HEB going that way. You're about 25 minutes from the medical center in downtown, man. This is shaping up. Hold on. But in all seriousness, I love, for all the people that check out Meridiana, I love it, of course. You know, I'll cut for you any day to come be my neighbor, of course. But if you're looking out this way, you're gonna likely be in the same or similar schools to Alvin ISD. You're gonna likely be tied to the same schools. And you're gonna be minutes away from the same shopping and eateries and things that we are. If you're looking over here, it would be crazy not to give this place a shot, just because you can have a really great builder and damn near the same location and save about 100K. So I ain't gonna tell you how to spend your money, but that's when the conversation comes in of, what do the amenities matter? What does the neighborhood breakdown matter? Do you like the commercial support? Do you like that you have, you know, this might be an exaggeration, 20 lakes and walking trails? Do you like that you have an event planner that has things going on? Do you like that they have the winter wonderlands and all that stuff that they plan for the guests and visitors of the neighborhood? Because that's what you're paying for when you go to a really big master plan community like Meridiana. And is that worth the value? To me, it is. But what about to you? Only you can answer that question. But if you're one of those people that are open, this is 1000% gonna be somewhere that we need to stop to give them a look. So, see, like I meant, just push that shower in a little bit, get you a nice big tub. Toilet. Make ready station again. This is beautiful, man. Now let's see the other side with this closet. Good size again. Really good size. And into your laundry. Beautiful. Beautiful. Come out, you got your big house vibes. This is beautiful. Oof. All right. Check out the upstairs. See what we got going so far. 10 out of 10 recommend. But let's see if they give me all my spaces. See if they land this thing. All right, so we got a game room. Come on, y'all. Where my movie room at? Come on now. I would imagine just with how this is framed up over the garage, that this could be a movie room. If I just looking at how it's looking, especially with the AC being in this little side attic over here. They got it locked, so I can't show you the spray foam and all that stuff on deck, but as you see, it is a decent day, but it's 60, what's that, 70 degrees in their attic right now. And it's a sunny day. It's a little bit warmer than 70. For my people, peekaboo front door. It's your main peekaboo. Beautiful. It's a beautiful house. Good size. Yeah, they already telling you. Go ahead to Iowa Colony, big dog. Shout out to the football team for making their run into the playoffs. We got Jack and Jill. Those of y'all not new. Y'all know I ain't cutting through. I'm gonna walk around. Yeah, shared bath for up here, which is what I would typically expect for a house this size. Now these feel a little bit tight, I'm not gonna lie. Those feel a little tight, but they gave you really big closets in here comparative. Now I'm looking at spaces. Yeah, that has to be what they would do. So see how this is framed out over, I would imagine that this would be an option to add a movie room either there, or it would have to be probably in this space. Just with how things are framed, yeah, it would probably actually make more sense on this wall. But now you're getting closer to the primary. But yeah, man, let's slide on in. This is what the Vanderbilt plan. So this is about 3,200 square feet. 4-bed, 3.5 bath, and this starts at around 580. Okay, so that, like I said, man, for what you would get, for the prices that things are starting at out here, it's 1,000% worth a look, in my opinion. Especially if you're open to, again, like a little bit more pared down of a community that's not throwaway. I think they're gonna have pools and all that stuff. I don't think they're gonna have a gym. I'll verify that with Kyle. But same schools, same access, a little less amenity. That's pretty much what you're giving up on. Now, the next thing that we'll talk about is some of the things that I expected to see in this house. This house is gorgeous. Love it. I'll give it 9 out of 10. Almost there. Just based on general beauty. I know you can go as crazy as you want to go on a house like this, but something that you're going to see, just like we saw there, on 3,200 square feet, my expectation for a family home, 3,200 square feet in the Houston metro, is at least 4-bed, 3.5 bath. On a 2-story, I expect to see a game room and a media room with the study. That's what I'm expecting to see on 3,200 square feet. Because it is just Beazer in here, that's one of the cons that you're gonna see, right? Is that because there's no competition, because there's no Weston throwing a plan out there, because there's no Perry, there's no other high-end builder that's gonna push them to squeeze in those more sought after features, you might see a lot of inventory like this that are pretty, but you're down a spot still, which with the square footage that you just generally have, doesn't quite make sense, other than the fact that if this is the big one and this is the big one, and the big ones don't have that floor plan, or they don't have that as a standard feature for them, and most people aren't going to build it, if you're doing it in inventory, you're likely not going to have the competition to force you to do that, so they would likely never do it. So you would be in a situation where you have to kind of do what we did, which is buy inventory that has almost everything there, and then maybe convert an attic space to give you that extra media room or flex space that you don't get because they're not competing with anyone that would force them to give that to you. I hope that makes sense. But other than that, man, beautiful exterior, beautiful spaces, tons of room. Upstairs is a little bit more cramped. They have a nice sized game room. My sincere hope is that that room behind us that was showing us where the AC was, that attic space, I'm hoping that there's an option, and I'll ask Kyle here in a second. I'm actually about to go talk to him before we head into the next house, is do we have room to actually build a media room in there? Is that a planned option? And if so, what would that cost, just to try to give y'all a ballpark? But other than that, man, if you're like I said, if you're price conscious, this is definitely going to be the place that you want to come check out. All right, up next we have the Summerfield. That wind cutting. I'm glad it's not cold, because that wind cutting out here today. Welcome to being down south in the wind tunnel. Speaking of wind, for people that are looking down here, another thing to keep in mind is that insurance costs are going to be a little bit higher out here because we have that wind impact that certain neighborhoods just don't have. So you could potentially buy this plan somewhere else in another neighborhood and realize that the insurance that you're quoted would be a little bit lower than down here, because you have, and I always mess up that acronym, I think it's TWILA insurance, like wind and hail insurance. Really quick, while I got you here, you've been watching this video for over 30 minutes now, and I haven't had a call, text, email, nothing from you. Some of the best ways to get in touch with me are actually going to be to book a call. I'll put that link, either a QR code or a link will be in the description. Also, just give me a call, text, email, whatever way is the easiest way for you. I want to meet you where you are at that moment so I can get you some of the best deals, teach you about some of the best communities, whether it's this one or anywhere in the Houston Metro. I want to be that go-to and that knowledge source for you. I've built relationships with people all over this metro. And like I said, out the gate of this video, I heard about this one from a contract that I sold in a whole nother community about this neighborhood, and I'm here showing it to you so you can be one of the first ones to ever see it if you're looking in my neck of the woods. But whether or not you are looking over here, are you looking in Conroe, you're looking at Cypress, you're looking at Katy, you're looking at Richmond, you're looking at Rosenberg, no matter where you're looking, I want to be that go-to, and I got these relationships all over the place, and I want to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of in this market and that you're getting the absolute best deal that we possibly can in today's market. If that sounds good, I look forward to hearing from you. Something that you would have to get down here, you'd be forced to get it, and so it's definitely something to keep in mind when looking down south in my neck of the woods. If you need a insurance broker or anything for quotes, just hit me up. We'll get that taken care of for you. All right, so we got an in-law suite. Now this one, I believe, is the Summerfield. I believe this is going to be about the same size as that Vanderbilt plan that we just left out of. So it'll be interesting to see the differences. I'm seeing difference. Number one, we don't have the connection to the primary on this one. Okay, so that's already a little bit of a difference. Still have a bed and an office, accessible off the first floor with an in-law suite. So this one does feel a little bit tighter, but still, it still gives you, for the people that want that grand tall ceiling, you want a nice open concept, beautiful kitchen, you want the little catwalk with the peekaboo, you can still get all of those vibes in this home. And the benefit of going just a wee bit narrow and going to the 50 foot is that these actually start in like the mid to upper 4s versus the Vanderbilt plan that would start in the 5s, right? So if you wanted this square footage, you wanted to be about this size, around that 3,200 square feet, they still, even though it's a more narrow product, tuck this little dining space in the back, just a thoughtful use of the space. You don't have a table floating in between your kitchen and living room. A little less cabinetry, just a little less, but you still got tons of prep space. Bigger pantry. So it's always interesting to see how the space is used, and you kind of gotta just feel it low key. It's hard to explain. I've been touring these kind of places for a while, and you see a number, and if I showed you the walk-in and the interior of that family room right now versus where we just were, you would probably think that the other one was much bigger, and they are literally the same size. So that is the trade. Also, I did clarify with my guy Kyle, shout out to him. He came back from lunch, so I disturbed that man's peace while he was eating his lunch, and I was like, quick question about your structural upgrades over here. And he did confirm that they have a hard stop for 55 footers and under of having a media room. So that is a structural add that you would not be able to get with them, okay? They can switch out game rooms to make them like a 5th bedroom on a couple of these plans, but you will not get 4-bedroom study and a media room. Won't happen. Architecturally wise, I think that is because they have it structured in a way to where if you wanted that, you would be forced to go to like their 60-foot plans, which I think in this neck of the woods would basically put you in, I think Valencia is a 60-foot. So that would force you to look outside of this neighborhood, which would put you at a higher price point. But if you're looking at something like this, we're paring it down a little bit. You'd be able to get maybe the little flex space, kind of like we saw, but a traditional 4-bed, 3.5 bath, movie room, movie room study. There's none of the plans over here would allow you to do that. Now, as I look at these spaces, I see spaces where you could likely fit it, right? And that's a conversation of now you have to get a contractor to do it after the fact. I've done that. It's not super scary. If you need my guy Julio's number, this is something that we could seriously save you some money over here, and then you spend, 15 or 20 to get it done versus moving up to a 60 to 65 foot product to get it, that cost savings that you would have, okay? That's something to think about, because unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to get it all through the builder over here, okay? But gorgeous, gorgeous. We step into your primary over here. Really good size. Got your little bench, full size furniture, 8-foot doors. Looks like 6-inch baseboards. Some really nice touches. We got the peekaboo. You looking at them, they looking at you. And everybody's all good, man. Everybody's happy. Split vanity again. They worked in the make ready station. linen. And go into your closet. Now I wonder if there was a structural upgrade to like put a door here, because I think spatially, I think the laundry is like right there. In my mind, the laundry is right there. So you should be able to do it. This closet is a little bit smaller than where we are. So now I'm curious to see, because I know that these are like the same square footage, how are they using the square footage upstairs? Like, are the bedrooms bigger? Would it make more sense to get bigger bedrooms or a bigger game room on this one? Would it make more sense and save the money even between this one and the Vanderbilt? Those are the kind of questions and kind of analysis that we would be doing when we're out here looking for y'all, because we still got the same wide corridor. That still feels grand. Still got the same tall ceilings. It's a wee bit tighter in here, but the numbers are supposed to be the same. So what is different? Game room is a little bit bigger. So on the smaller footprint, the game room is actually bigger. What I was telling y'all before. I wonder if it's open. Is it open? It's locked. So I would imagine that with just how this is framed out, that you would be able to put something off of this game room. I'd be willing to bet money on that. Now, what the hope would be is that although they're in here and it looks like all your AC stuff is on this side, my hope would be that they don't just run a bunch of crap behind that wall, and that once you open that door, you would just be able to be like, oh, I bet I got tons of room for activities over here, right? But that's something that you would have to do after the fact. Main peekaboo for the peekaboo crew. I love it. Little peekaboo from the front door too. A little bitty. A little bitty. Good sized room. The rooms actually feel bigger on this one. So that is a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. That's a little weird. That the upstairs of the 50 foot is bigger. Smaller closet. Okay. So trade-offs, right? So the other ones had much bigger closets. And then this got this little game room storage. This has storage like it's supposed to be a media room up here. That's driving me. Because why didn't they put a media room in this? You have the room to do it. You for sure have the room to do it. Yeah, this is much bigger than any of the upstairs secondary rooms. And if I had to pick between the two, I would for sure pick this one over the other one. Everybody's got ensuite baths. Yeah, this is, to me, oh no, this is Jack and Jill. Let me make sure I'm not tripping. Jack and Jill? Yeah, Jack and Jill, okay. Jack and Jill, not ensuite, but much bigger closets, much bigger bedrooms on this side. There was nothing in that other house that competes to this upstairs for this. This secondary bedroom kind of got gypped on a closet, but the room is much bigger. And then you have these little auxiliary closets nearby. The only downside that I'm seeing to this one is that we are down a movie room. That's it. And again, like I said, this is stuff that can sound scary, but it's not super scary. And with all this wall, I'm sure that you got room to do that over there. I'm positive that you got room to do that over there. But I'm loving what I'm seeing so far, man. And we got one more to go check out just to show you just a little bit smaller of what you can get over here in the neighborhood. So stick with me. All right. Last but not least, we'll step into the 40s just to give you an idea really quick of what you can expect in something like this. This is the Somerset plan. So we'll talk about stats as we kind of walk through on this one. Guest bath off the front door. That would be your garage. Still giving you a little peekaboo, man. I like that so far. I've gotten a peekaboo off all my floor plans that are 2 stories. Little storage closet in there. Again, I like how this kitchen is set up for a smaller home. Beautiful. This is around 2,600 square feet, and this starts in like the mid 3s, okay? So just stepping down in that width a little bit, going a little bit more narrow. We can save even more money over here in La Suite. And again, obviously, we've lost about 600 square feet, so bedrooms, closets, bathrooms, everything's gonna start to feel a little bit smaller. But being in the space right now, it doesn't feel really good size closet. It doesn't feel like I've just stepped down into Tinyville. Good size cabinet or pantry. That might be bigger than the 50-foot. Got laundry. Even on a 40-foot, it looks like you can pay for the option to connect it. So they didn't have it shown in the 50-foot. They had it in the 55-foot, and in the 40s, you can still cut it. So it's so crazy when an architect has like somewhat overlapping kind of plan sizes, what they start to decide to do, depending on what floor plan you're in. Just some stuff just works easier to do. And on the smaller footprint, 600 square foot smaller, they were still able to connect that laundry to the closet to give you a more luxury feel of what you would expect on like a 60-foot, right? So that's always interesting to see. Another thing that I'm noticing on the 40s, range hood. So I do know that that is an upgrade that you can pay for when you're building it. I don't know if in their inventory they're gonna be doing that at all. I see a lot of nice cabinetry. You can do the puck lighting. Slide in. So this is something that's different from the 50s. The 50s were, they had a cooktop and I believe a in-cabinet appliances that was a slide in. I wonder if you could upgrade this to do that here. Something I would have to ask my guy Kyle. Open concept, got your table floating in between, but that is what should be expected on something that is this width. Still got a little bit of peekaboo up there. Hey now. Still got a little peekaboo. I like the little bench seating over here. Just a little, that's a little Highland detail. Most people don't do that. Let's go check out this outdoor area for you, just so you can get an idea. So a little bit smaller on the back patio here. The yards are a little bit tight. So that is the one unknown that Kyle didn't quite have an answer for, was whether or not the easement was going to be in the front or if it was going to be in the back. In this yard either, I still don't see any poles that would lead me to believe that there should be an easement, but I would say the bulk of Houston communities have a backyard easement that would kind of force you to limit what you could do in your backyard. And I'll try to dig to see what we can get on that info for you. Now as we go into the primary, pretty good size, a little banquet seating again. I'm a fan. Stuff that we didn't talk about so far. The HOA over here currently is listed at $1,000. Again, that's a little bit cheaper. It's like $980 actually. And that's gonna come with a little less amenities than we have in Meridiana, but you still, again, from the stuff that they're claiming on the literature that I've seen online, it's still time to be seen whether or not they land that plane and do what they say they're gonna do. However, you're supposed to have pools and walking trails, or a pool and walking trails, and I think a little lake here. And so for that amount of amenities, that's about right in the Houston Metro for a small community. So that's no slouch, man. Dual vanity, still a little space for a little make ready. And good size, little closet connected to your laundry, man. So, look, man, I have minimal complaints for a 2,500 square foot, 40-foot plan. If I'm comparing this to anything, I'm comparing it in my head to like a Highland Homes Everly plan. You get some of the grand kind of vibes and feels in some of these spaces. You get peekaboos, you get nice windows, you get a little bankhead seating, and then it gives you the same kind of little feel that you get with the stairs being shaped almost in a very similar way to frame out your game room up here. So I'm not mad at this design at all, man. All right, so HOA about $980. Property taxes, as of the recording of this video, are about 3.05 is what I'm seeing online. So that is also lower than what you would do in Meridiana. Meridiana, we're at like, last year we were at 3.19. And then a couple of the sections, my section included, they messed over your boy. We had a little bit of an increase because we had to beef up some of our mud district infrastructure. So there's a little bit of a miscalculation by the developers. And once the houses started going in, they started noticing that they needed more drainage, they needed more water. And so they did impose a little bit of an increase on some of us that had already moved in. They're doing their little bunny trick to show you that it's cool in there. But yeah, so that's not bad. So under 1,000 for HOA, damn near under 3 for property taxes. Let me see if they got schools listed so far. Iowa Colony High, that's where you're going, and Iowa Colony Junior High. And then it looks like you'll be going to Nichols for elementary. So they split you away from, for middle school and elementary school, they split you away from the Meridiana. You'll be dealing with the schools kind of closer to this side. But for high school, you would be with some of the Meridiana kids over there. But I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. This was a beautiful trip over here. I'm glad my girl Tracy told me about it. Glad my guy Kyle came and opened up all the models for me so you can see it. You got homes ranging from about $285 right now to about $650 on the high end, and that's like 3,600 square feet, all dialed up. You got beautiful options over here, not that far from a place that y'all know and love. A lot of y'all that came to my channel for Meridiana. If you're open to a little bit of a more pared down neighborhood, this might actually be the perfect spot for you to land, because you got lower taxes, lower prices, same size homes. That's a win-win. If you don't need as many amenities, if you don't need as many lakes and pools and gyms as we have over there, this might be the win for you. But is it enough to make you ride on past a Del Bello, ride on past a Rodeo Palms, ride on past a Meridiana, ride on past a Sierra Vista, and stop here to call this place home? Is it enough for you?